tempted to say, I quit, I'm leaving. I'm done. I'll call the meeting to order, the Oklahoma City Riverfront Redevelopment Authority. You know you've been doing this too long when you're getting ready to present a pen to somebody that you've already presented it to him once, I believe. But David has been with the city 25 years, and David, it says, congratulations on reaching this impressive career milestone. Your tenure, knowledge, and dedication are valuable to the residents we serve and to your coworkers. Your achievements and longevity help make Oklahoma City a successful and thriving community. Congratulations.
Thanks, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh.
Can I get a picture? One for the record.
All right, 1, 2, 3. There we go. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, sir.
You bet. Quarter century is something, by the way.
It is a lot of something.
Thank you.
Okay. Items from the chairman. We have an update on the Development Water Use Committee. Kathy?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Development and Water Use Committee met on September the 24th. We'd been meeting several times talking about the Oklahoma River Corridor Strategic Development Plan. We met on the 24th and we reviewed the RFP, and we had some recommendations that we wanted staff to update. So we asked them to please update that draft and then bring it back to us. At that time, we decided that the final version should include a phased out approach for the consultant to evaluate all of Oklahoma City riverfront development property and the adjacent private property. The consultant will identify and rank potential development sites under a highest and best use framework. The consultant also will be asked to create a comprehensive list of development projects ranked in order of priority. Staff updated the draft, the RFP, which is now under review with the city's planning department. We will be getting back together with staff to review the RFP, and if we have more recommendations, then we'll ask staff to update those. If not, we will consider that our final draft, and that will come to the trust at another time. And that's where we are right now.
Good. Very good. Any questions? Okay. Thank you, Kathy.
You're welcome.
We don't need to vote on that. Okay. Item 3 is minutes of the September 23rd meeting. Do we have any changes or corrections? Cast your vote. That passes. Item 4 is consent docket, and we have a number of reports. Jess, you want to give you a project summary?
Good afternoon. Joe Shumway, Oklahoma City Public Works. Some of the upcoming projects we still have on the slate would be the Brum Dam rehabilitation. That, again, is going to require us to drain sections of the river and lower parts of the other to complete the work. Timeline for this will be mid-December through the end of February. A few of the other projects, although some of them have neared completion, we did have an opportunity to add the lighting to the pedestrian bridge, which will now be overseen by Public Works. We had a work order for the Brum Dam lock hinge repairs. The work is primarily completed. We're just doing some initial testing, hopefully allowing Embark to begin using that lock again. We've had a few other annual projects, things like spraying vegetation along the river. We've also done the cylinder replacements, which is 50% completed. Those cylinders are now being rehabbed. We plan on the newer rehab cylinders to go on the other half of the dam, and that should allow the Brum Dam to be operational for the next 5 years. River crews also removed 160 cubic yards of debris from the month of September. Are there any questions?
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a presentation from the OKC Black Alumni Coalition on the history of the Walnut Grove neighborhood, which is now part of the Boathouse District. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you and good afternoon, trustees, for allowing us to be here to present to you today. I wanted to introduce ourselves. My name is Shantae Alexander. I'm the Executive Director of the Oklahoma City Black Alumni Coalition. And joining me in presenting today is one of our board members, Kenyon Willis. He's also the chair of our Walnut Grove Committee. And then I just wanted to also recognize a few of our friends in the audience. We have Ms. Shay Peace, who is a descendant of Walnut Grove. Our co-chair of the Walnut Grove Committee, Ms. Regina Richardson, who is also a board member of OBAC. And then I saw Chris Sorensen, ED of Riversport, and they've been a gracious partner with us as well. Also, just want to make sure I don't forget anyone. We've also partnered with OU Institute for Quality Communities. Currently, we're working alongside OU Planning, Landscape, and Architecture and Design Department, and Metro Library with Judith Matthews. They've all come alongside us to help us enrich this work that you'll see today. So the purpose of this presentation is to introduce ourselves and then primarily let you know about Walnut Grove and what we've uncovered in the work that we're doing. We will give you a little background on OBAC, Oklahoma City Black Alumni Coalition. We'll touch on the concepts of Black settlements and then introduce you to Walnut Grove, which we affectionately call the Grove. We'll share a timeline of the rise and fall of Walnut Grove, and then just touch on some Northeast OKC Olympic priorities. The Oklahoma City Black Alumni Coalition, or OBAC, is a nonprofit organization that reconnects Black alumni from Oklahoma City schools and helps leverage collective power for advocacy, legacy work, and community building. The coalition was born in response to a threat to identity that often occurs when schools are closed, renamed, gentrified, or relocated, much of which was occurring during the 2019 district reconsolidation plan in Oklahoma City. Today, OBAC focuses on initiatives that leverage our educational connections to spark community development and investment. Our flagship event, the Riverboat Classic, is an annual regatta that reclaims and innovates the history of rowing by centering Black presence in a sport where we have historically been excluded. As the first and only Black-led, Black-centered regatta in the country, the Riverboat is both a celebration and a statement. It honors the past while building a legacy for future generations of Black athletes and leaders alike. Beyond Riverboat, we've hosted community forums around school bond initiatives, hosted alumni engagement opportunities, offered STEM learning for youth, and we recognize community leaders. And this year, we launched our first ever OBAC Reunion Weekend, and together these efforts positively impact identity, physical health, and wellness, and educational advocacy, all critical pillars for the future of Northeast Oklahoma City.
All right, next, so our support for Walnut Grove stems from its deep historical significance as a once thriving Black community at the very site of our flagship event. The Riverboat, it may seem like a bit of a a mission creep for us to step into the interest of preserving the legacy of a neighborhood. But this placekeeping work uniquely deepens our connection to the historic placemaking we are doing in our city and beyond. We see it as a part of our mission to ensure this story is preserved, that redevelopment is done within the community. For us, this is about advocacy and ownership, creating a model where Black voices lead conversations about the future of historically Black spaces.
And just to pause on this picture, just to describe it a little bit, this year, our 4th annual River Bowl Classic and first reunion weekend, we actually invited some friends to join us on this movement. You'll see in this rowing shell, myself, but then also you'll see the cast members of A Most Beautiful Thing, which they are gentlemen who were in the first all-Black rowing team in the south side of Chicago. And also, you'll see 2 Olympians, U.S. rowing Olympians, Mr. Akil Abdullah and Miss, why am I blanking? Patricia Spratlin Needham. I'm sorry, excuse me. It's a lot of folks in that boat. But, you know, we put just legacy because the picture speaks for itself. We all have embraced and impacted the world of rowing in different capacities. And so the morning of River Bowl this year, we actually went out for a legacy row, and we were able to be spotlighted on a national platform for that. And so it was just a beautiful day.
All right, so Oklahoma has a really unique history when it comes to Black communities. After the land run, Black families didn't just settle anywhere. Many intentionally built towns and neighborhoods where they could own land, create safety, and build the towns and neighborhoods, and build the things that they needed to thrive within those boundaries as segregation and systemic barriers were working against them. Oklahoma actually had more all-Black towns than anywhere else in the country, over 50 of them, and only about 13 are still around today, which tells you how much change and displacement has happened over time. And it wasn't just towns. In cities like Oklahoma City, Black families built thriving neighborhoods too. Many of those neighborhoods, including Walnut Grove, also known as The Grove, were located along the river because land was available and affordable, even though it was considered less desirable by others. Despite that, these communities turned those spaces into places where Black life and culture flourished. This is also why Northeast OKC became predominantly Black. Segregation and racially restrictive covenants pushed Black residents to certain parts of town, but they made the best of it, creating a tight network of schools, businesses, and churches that still anchor the community today. Walnut Grove was one of those communities located along the North Canadian River, just southeast of where Reno and Lincoln meet today. Other nearby riverfront Black communities included Sandtown, Westtown, and Southtown, all vibrant, connected Black neighborhoods. Over time, urban renewal projects, highway construction, economic pressures, and gentrification chipped away at them all. Southtown is probably the most recent example. A lot of you may know it as now as Scissortail Park or Corridor Shore area. There are just a few homes left owned by the last remaining residents. A little over a decade ago, Walnut Grove was in a very similar position.
So we have The Grove. Just to tell you a little bit more about Walnut Grove, like I said before, it was affectionately known as The Grove. It was a once thriving, predominantly Black community along the North Canadian River, just southeast of downtown Oklahoma City. Generations of families lived here, and it was a tight-knit neighborhood full of life. It wasn't just a place to live, it was a self-sustaining community, and it had local businesses, grocery stores, entertainment spots, recreational events, gardens, and multiple churches that anchored both spiritual and civic life. This was a place where culture thrived and Black excellence was nurtured, even in the face of inequity. Prominent residents helped shape the community's civic and cultural identity. And just to name a few, there was Councilwoman Willa D. Johnson, Civil rights leaders Mr. Leslie Brown and Mr. Cecil L. Williams, as well as Mr. Dilbert Peace. And many of you may know him. We recently lost one of our Walnut Grove loved ones, Mr. Cleo Fields, who later became the first individual to lie in state in the Oklahoma County Courthouse because of his life of service. And I think that was just this August. Like many historically Black neighborhoods, the Grove felt the effects of policies and decisions that were often outside the community's control. Urban renewal, eminent domain, and redevelopment gradually chipped away at its foundation. City planners often labeled it blighted or neglected, and over time, families were displaced. The land that once held the heartbeat of this community is now in the footprint of what we know to be the Boathouse District. Prior to our work, little of Walnut Grove's history had been formally documented. Therefore, its stories, contributions, and legacy were at a risk of being forgotten over time. OBAC's work to help research, uplift, and share this history isn't just about celebration, it's also an act of preservation. Through community engagement, storytelling, and events like the Riverboat Classic, we aim to reclaim the narrative and honor the people who made the Grove a cornerstone in Black Oklahoma City history. And now we're going to walk through a quick timeline of the rise and fall of Walnut Grove. So for the first half of the 20th century, you saw much of its rise, its development. Before statehood, 1902, we discovered that the streets were paved for Walnut Grove. It started to be increasingly Black, and we saw that presence as early as the 1920s. We saw schools being built and the homes, being plotted, and just growth. Additionally, one thing that we should say about that part of the century is that it was plagued by major floods that would often hit Oklahoma City, and it would devastate the area. And so as we get toward the middle of the century, there started to be some conversations around how to kind of work to straighten that out. Literally, straightening out the river is one of the initiatives that came about.
All right, and so during the 50s and the 50s to the 70s, we had elementary schools built. Benjamin Banneker was a school that was built for Blacks during that time. It was an elementary school. 1957, we saw that it was closed. During the 50s and 60s, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers began flood control projects. The North Canadian River was straightened, as Shantae had, spoke about earlier, which significantly altered its flow and banks, particularly in OKC. In the 60s, we had the Walnut Grove Elementary School that was closed. We had the pay plan, which was downtown OKC, flattened over 500 buildings. The 70s and 80s, the creation of the National Flood Insurance Program. During this period, many neighborhoods along the river, including the Walnut Grove, were officially classified as special flood hazard areas.
And just to kind of look at some of the visuals, if you're looking at the homes, the people who lived here had a lot of pride in their homes. And so a part of our work is also trying to shift the narrative where we move away from just tossing it up to, abandoned and not much going on. There was a lot of love and dignity in this community.
So during the 80s up to the 2000s, of course, we had the I-235 was constructed. And then due to this classification, residential development was restricted, and many properties became ineligible for mortgages without flood insurance. As a result, Walnut Grove and similar communities saw disinvestment, buyouts, or demolitions. 1993, MAPS 1 approved by voters included improvements to the North Canadian River. In 2003, Walnut Grove Elementary was demolished. That would have been August 16th of 2003. And in 2004, North Canadian River renamed the Oklahoma River along 7-mile stretch, later called the Boathouse District. In 2004, shell companies came in as far as investment goes. And then also in 2004, the inaugural head of the Oklahoma Regatta took place, coinciding with the groundbreaking of the Chesapeake boathouses.
So now we bring you to more present day. The River Sport Foundation was established in '05. The construction of I-40 Crosstown Expressway relocation began with the groundbreaking in 2007. Chesapeake Boathouse opened, the first boathouse out there in the Boathouse District in 2006. Like Kenyon said, the 7-mile stretch was renamed the Boathouse District, and construction of the I-40 Crosstown Expressway relocation was opened in 2012. In 2014, we thought this was interesting that as far as our research is found, that's when we found our last Walnut Grove home that we can document. And so you can see there's quite a bit of overlap between the building of the Boathouse District and then, the presence of Walnut Grove as we knew it. In 2019, OBAC came along, started the work in becoming, that would eventually become the nonprofit. In 2021, we became a nonprofit, and then in 2022, we held our first River Bowl Classic. So, just to kind of share more about the community legacy and then also a site analysis that occurred this spring. In April, our partners from OU's Institute for Quality Communities shared their spring engagement findings from a series of legacy mapping exercises, site visits, memory wall activities, and oral storytelling sessions that engaged more than 80 participants. And these participants actually lived in the Grove and or were descendants, like their children and such. The students conducted a site analysis of the river sport venue, identifying strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and challenges related to connectivity, history, land use, and operations. They organized their findings to document the people and places that emerged, including 8 churches, 7 businesses and organizations, half a dozen eateries, 5 affiliated schools, more than a dozen families, that carry generations of history, and common recreation and gathering spaces that shape the spirit of Walnut Grove. The OU team also presented ideas for how the history and legacy of Walnut Grove could be preserved on site, exploring possibilities such as markers, plaques, murals, guided tours, sculptures, plazas, heritage trails, and building dedications. They even proposed potential interpretation sites with visual design concepts, and we're happy to share that with you all after the meeting, envisioning ways that events like River Bowl Classic could continue to uplift the legacy and unity of this historic community. So next steps, we continue our journey of preservation with renewed encouragement, seeing how our work alongside our incredible partners that we mentioned is making a difference not only for those directly connected to Walnut Grove, but to the entire Northeast community. Together, we're helping residents to grow a deeper sense of belonging and identity tied to the river and its banks. We're also beginning to see tangible outcomes of that work. During our 4th annual River Bowl Classic, Mayor Holt led a boat dedication ceremony honoring the memory of Walnut Grove, joined by descendants of and community members who helped make that moment special. That same evening, he proclaimed River Bowl Classic Day in Oklahoma City, a recognition that uplifted Walnut Grove's legacy and its enduring influence on our city's story. This semester, we're continuing our work while supporting OU planning, landscape architecture, and design students under the leadership of Vanessa Morrison. Their project bridges theory and practice as they explore what the 2028 Olympics could mean for Oklahoma City, examining global spectator experience while centering local impact in Northeast Oklahoma City. Their final project will be a professional guide with concrete recommendations for mobility, cultural preservation, community benefit, and anti-displacement strategies, as well as placemaking and participatory planning, ensuring the voices of this community remain at the heart of future developments. And finally, I just wanted to leave you with, just bring awareness to an initiative that's kind of been happening since later part of last year. Some of the work I just mentioned builds on an effort that began last winter to bring Northeast Oklahoma City stakeholders together around opportunities tied to the 2028 Olympics. This cross-sector group, including nonprofit leaders, faith leaders, civic partners, has identified core priorities in Northeast Oklahoma City, ensuring cultural representation, inclusive workforce and economic development, equitable infrastructure investment, and meaningful community voice in decision-making. These priorities mirror what we've just discussed today, that preserving the history and memory of Walnut Grove is not separate from future planning, but rather the foundation of how we build a more connected and inclusive Riverfront community. And we thank you. I also want to give a special thank you to Councilwoman Jo Beth Hammond for extending this invitation for us to come and just share some of the work that we've been doing over the last couple of years.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Nice presentation. You got done a lot of work so far. More to come. I'm
More
sure.
to come. Thank you all for your time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next we have the Oklahoma City Community Foundation Endowment Fund Report.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for inviting us in to present today. My name is Jennifer Meckling. I'm the director of our nonprofit endowment program at OCCF. And you have my report in front of you. It kind of has two parts to it. One is a snapshot of the fund as it sits today to give you some numbers. And the other part is a narrative about the history of the fund, the context, and how it's intended to be used. So if I could just review some of those. The fund was established in 2005, so it's been with us for 20 years. This is a somewhat older fund. We have some funds that are more than 50 years old, but this one is old enough to show kind of the magic of what an endowment fund can do over time. Its current market value is $1,894,000. That includes actual contributions into the fund of $1,580,000. Total cumulative distributions, that's that 5% that is calculated each year, amounts to $539,000. And the fund has enjoyed $1.2 million, almost $1.3 million in investment gains over those 20 years. And when I first I was reviewing this report today, and I thought, I've got to go back and look at that. Those numbers can't possibly be right. But truly, that it has enjoyed that level of investment gains over time, so it has grown substantially. The available spendable in that fund is $338,935. The River Trust also currently holds $197,977 that they have already received. If we move on to the narrative, you'll see that some of those funds were already granted out to this body for particular projects that were approved by a small committee. It came to our attention some years ago that those had not been spent on those, so we're keeping those in reserve and trying to identify the right thing to do with those going forward, as well as what to do with the existing spendable that is in there. So I would be happy to entertain any questions you have about how that works, about what those different dollar amounts are, or have any questions about how those monies can be spent.
Thank you, Jennifer. That was very informative.
Thank you, and feel free to reach out for any kind of clarity on any of that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, the last of the consent is the oil and gas revenue report, river corridor events update, and our regular meeting schedule. Any questions on any of those? I need a motion on the consent docket, please. Cast your vote. That passes. Primary agenda items. Item A is a land use covenant between the City of Oklahoma City and Phillips 66 for certain restrictions on future water wells on 80-plus acres of Riverfront Redevelopment Authority property near 10th and Vicky Drive. This is something that they've done down there for a while, I think, and they're wanting to continue that. Any questions? Need a motion? Got your vote? That passes. Item B is a revocable permit with SKD Events LLC for the Riverfront Grand Prix on November 29th and 30th. To vote. That passes. Item 6 is the claims docket. Questions on it? Cast your vote. Yeah, that passes. Item 7 is comments from staff. Got the park
Hello,
director's
good
report.
Thank you, Chairman. Hello, good afternoon. Melinda McMillan Miller, Parks and Recreation Director. I don't really have anything to add to the report this month. I think that I've been doing a lot of work with the Development Committee on this RFP, so we'll definitely have more to give to the committee here in the next couple weeks. But other than that, I'm happy for you to receive the report and have answers to any questions you might have.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to receive that, please. Cast your vote. Any comments by trustees? Oh, that passes, by the way. Comments from trustees? Any citizens to be heard? Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.